The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's lava. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome to Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellows, Aaron and Steve Johnson. How's it going, fellas?
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back.
Doing pretty good. Re-energized again after a recession of fights, but I'm good and all okay.
Yeah, we were recording on a Tuesday. This will be out on a Wednesday. Y'all stayed warm from the Snowmageddon 2026.
Yep, stayed in all weekend, watched it snow a little bit, watched the fights, and then I got out Sunday morning and used the snow blower, got all the snow out of my driveway, and it warmed up a little bit today. You know, we got in the upper 20s.
You had to plow the snow all yourself?
Yeah, I got a snow blower. It ain't too bad. It does most of the work for me.
I wasn't prepared at all for getting the snow out of my personal parking spot. They came and plowed the main road on Sunday, and then the behind my unit they came and plowed, but I couldn't get in my parking spot because it was covered with snow, and I don't have 4-wheel drive on my little sedan, so I just had to park in a different spot, which was a little annoying. How about you, Steve? You get affected by the snow?
Yeah, thought I was prepared. Day and a half, 2 days in. I have to have juice, so I think I went out in it before they cleared the roads. Because over here they might slack on the weekends and wait till the weekdays to clear it out, which is mostly what our situation was. So I drove in it once, and the roads weren't clear, but I hear other people were getting stuck. But luckily, I have 4-wheel drive, so I didn't have to worry about that all sliding and stuff.
That's what's up. I'm glad you two stayed safe. I just stayed inside all weekend. They let us work from home on Monday. The after effects from the roads and stuff. So that was dope. But other than that, before the snowstorm, Admire, you had an 80 proof reunion. The chat was jumping.
Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah, a lot of people showed up. We didn't really expect anybody to tune in, and yeah, we had a lot more people than expected. A lot of new people. A lot of people from Jay's stream jumped in there. So I think we're going to try to make it a once a month thing. See if we can make the comeback.
Yeah. So because I was talking to Rucker about it on Boot to the Face on Sunday. He was like, "It's still on the fence." I'm like, "That'd be dope if y'all did it once a month." I said, "Go for it."
Yeah, Rucker and Jay were like, "Oh, well, we'd like to do it, every 2 weeks or, a little more frequently." I was like, maybe we should start with once a month, see if we can actually do it. Because we used to do it. I mean, during peak COVID, we were doing it twice a week, and then we went down to once a week, and then, we were kind of every other week, and then we just quit. So I don't want to come back and just, go full force and then, kind of water it down like we used to. I'd rather keep it once a month and see what happens. And then, if it goes good, maybe go once every 2 weeks. I don't know.
My memory's terrible. I don't even remember y'all doing twice a week. That's crazy.
Yeah, we used to do I think it was Wednesdays and Fridays, and then we moved to Tuesdays and Thursdays, Mondays and Thursdays. We moved all around.
Yeah, I think once a month, like you said, maybe expand every other week, but once a month they'll let topics build and have people anticipating it. Like you said, it was lots of people in the chat, so that was dope. So yeah, for those out there, check out the 80 Proof. It's on Twitch. I don't know if Jay posted like audio to like Apple or anything. I didn't even check that out, but
yeah, I don't know if he's going to post the audio, but it's on Twitch. It's on Jay's Twitch. It's like twitch.tv/ it's JBomb.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, sometimes the Twitch videos last forever, sometimes only 30 days, but go ahead and check it out as soon as possible. But let's hop right into it, fellas, because we got to recap the card and we got a preview card. So UFC 324 that went down in Las Vegas, first card of the Paramount era. And Emma, how was your experience actually working on Paramount or viewing stuff on Paramount Plus?
I had quite a bit of buffering. That's what I messaged you. I mean, I don't know. I got good internet, and you said you didn't have any buffering issues, but I had a little bit of buffering. But I didn't have a lot of ads. I seen a lot of people complaining about a lot of ads and stuff, but I didn't seem to have a lot.
I'll get into that in a second. Besides that, you said it was a buffering.
Yeah, a little bit of buffering issues, but other than that, I mean, I thought the production was good. I thought everything else was. It was the first time I've even used Paramount. I thought the UI was good. Pretty user friendly. Everything worked all right.
Yeah, the interface was, it was solid. I mean, I feel like out of all these streaming platforms, for some reason I like Max a good bit. ESPN, I don't really like ESPN's streaming service, but ESPN Plus, I feel like it's another. Of course, Netflix is the the grandfather of them all, but I feel like it's one of. I feel like Disney Plus is cool, even though it's ESPN that's an ESPN umbrella or whatnot. But Steve, did you watch it the old school or did you actually get on Paramount Plus?
Let's just say, I old schooled it. Yeah, I old schooled it. But saying that I was secondary receiving, I would say watching somebody else's Paramount, let's just say. And it was working well. It was working well from what my stream was doing.
So, you talking about not seeing that many ads? Do you get like the highest tier of Paramount? Maybe it's like a tier system.
I actually used my son's login, so I don't know if he has the higher up tier or not.
Interesting.
But it seemed like there wasn't as many ads. I couldn't tell what everybody was complaining about.
I wonder why Devin has Paramount Plus. I know he's a WWE fan, but that's on a different platform. Is he watching Beavis and Butthead or South Park on there?
I know he watches like Landman and
Yellowstone,
some of them other shows.
Yellowstone and all that. Okay. Yeah, I heard Landman is pretty good. I might have to check it out. But yeah, from my experience, I got like an ad every other minute. It was crazy. Like, I know that they're owned by TKO, but geez. And that's how the WWE is, like ads on their pay-per-views like every other minute. And it was annoying. I'm surprised you didn't get them, man. Even start before the fight started, they had like 3 different packages, like the little they were celebrating the new being on Paramount Plus. They had like the one showing the history of UFC, then they had another one, then they had another one. Because I'm on the Discord of another podcast, and people were talking about it as the fight was going on, and I'm like, the first fight hasn't even started, and we're 30 minutes into the pay-per-view starting. One thing I do like is they went back to 8 o'clock. Well, it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that was dope. I like that. But it still went late.
Yeah, it still went late. But that reminded me like the old school day, because that used to be the start time. Before I think like around the Fox era, they switched to, hour later.
Yeah.
It's insane if you're on the East Coast, because I used to have to wait till 10 to watch the fights when I was in South Carolina and Florida. But yeah, that was dope. But yeah, like after every fight, how I'm surprised you did. So what happened when people were walking to the cages for you, Admire?
The interview lady, like she would be talking, and they would walk out.
It must be a tier system, because every fighter entrance, I had commercials and ads.
Really? Yeah, I think it was kind of like some of the fight night stuff. Like she would be talking and then they would walk out. I mean, that's what I remember.
So you, Steve, you saw commercials during the walkouts too?
Now to look at it, I can't specifically remember that, but I do feel like there was a lot of ads, and I feel like they're working out the, working out the kinks, but I feel like they were misplacing ads and not placing ads in appropriate places. For instance, we like to hear the corners talk, and sometimes they wouldn't have an ad. It says it literally said Paramount commercial, and that's all it had on the screen. Not even an ad.
That's another thing. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Ads between rounds too. That was commercials between rounds too for me. That didn't happen with you, Amire?
Yeah, there was a couple, but it didn't seem that bad. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe I wasn't paying that much attention, but it just didn't seem like there was a whole lot of commercials to me or that bad.
Yeah, yeah. What was glaring was the commercials during the walkouts. I guess you didn't get that on your tear. The only time they showed the walkout was for the main event. Everything else, it was commercials during the walkout. So I guess this is why they got rid of pay-per-views. They got to make up for it somewhere in this ad space and commercials, which I'm a little annoyed by, but whatever. I wasn't paid for it before they took pay-per-views off, and I guess I'm technically paying for it. Like I said, I got my subscription from like a third-party website. Let's sold it for a discount, so I think it's up for a year. It's lasts for a year, but it is what it is. I guess it's the era we live in. And did you hear, Admire? They still got pay-per-views in international markets too, so they're still getting Canada
yeah.
for it.
I seen some guy posted something about pay-per-view, and I was like, what? And then somebody asked him in the comments section, was like, what do you mean pay-per-view? And he's like, yeah, where I live, I still have to buy the pay-per-view. So yeah, so there's still pay-per-view wise in some places.
Yeah, that's TKO for you. Any way they can make a buck, they're gonna make it. So bye-bye to having smooth running pay-per-views. But it is what it is. Let's get into the actual card. Like I said, we got a lot to go over. UFC 324 went down in Las Vegas, T-Mobile Center. And here's a fight that got scrapped. It's supposed to be on the prelims. Cameron Smotherman versus Ricky Tercios. And Steve, you sent me this video right after Smotherman got off the scale. Michael Bisping was on commentary, or they're doing the weigh-ins, and he was talking about how fighters need to make weight, and Smotherman was walking and boom, collapsed, which is alarming. I'm hoping he didn't lose a tooth or anything, because he like face planted.
Smacked.
I'm guessing you saw it too, Admire. What were your thoughts when you saw it?
Yeah, man. I've seen fighters look pretty bad coming up to the scale and coming off the scale, but I mean, he face planted pretty hard, man. Like that's the type of shit that like people are talking about when they say that, weight cuts are bad and they should limit how much weight people should be able to cut. Because if you're to that point that you're dehydrated that bad and starving yourself that bad that you're collapsing, that can't be good on your body, man. Like that's dangerous as shit. Like, I mean, who knows what kind of long lasting damage that does internally to your body, but also you could have fell and just like cracked your fucking head open, man.
Yeah, it could have been worse than what it was. And what were your thoughts when you saw that, Steve? Because you sent it to me. I didn't even see it on my timeline and my algorithm.
Man, I'm all into YouTube videos that show, UFC's best moments and stuff. That one, not to saying on expense of the man that fell and could have possibly hurt himself. But boy, that couldn't have happened at the right time. Bisping was talking about, you make weight. It's not hard. You just got to do it. And it really shows how people go on the brink of death. You know what I'm saying? Just for to people, although he is somebody that's went through it. I think, maybe it expands because it feels like he felt bad. Not everybody's body's the same, and all of them are professionals, but we just witnessed somebody that, tried to make weight and possibly could have been made it all the way to the back. And if he made it to fight night, he would not have possibly enough water in the brain or anything to get damage. And I think weight cut sometimes shortens careers. One time a weight cut could be good, and sometimes you might feel off. And I think that's one of his off cuts.
So this is we have a few recurring topics that happen on the show. Since almost 3 years we've been doing it. One's usually refereeing, one's usually fighter pay, and one thing I'm gonna bring up again is weight cuts. I don't think we've came up with a solution yet, but what do you think, Haymaker, they should do with these weight cuts now that this is on camera? This took it to another level, I think.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they recently do something about? I mean, was it the UFC or somebody did something about you can only, cut so much and regain so much by fight night? Wasn't there something about that you could only regain a certain amount?
I know boxing does a lot of hydration clause. UFC is trying to implement something like that as well.
I thought the UFC was supposed to, or they talked about it, but I think that would definitely change a lot of it. Because like, did you look at Paddy Pimblett? Like, did you see his face when he weighed in? Like, his face was like sunk in when he weighed in. That dude, I guarantee you, he puts on 25 pounds overnight, from weigh-in to fight day.
I've seen him like when he's not training, and he has to weigh in the 200s because he has like a big gut, and he always brags about what he eats. I mean, allegedly, this was the best weight cut that he had, but I don't know. We'll talk about his performance later. Maybe he was capping.
Yeah, there's definitely something. I mean, if they're really worried about fighter safety, they need to put something in place. I'm not really worried about it for the fairness aspect of it for fighting. I mean, these guys are in the cage fighting, they know what's best for themselves as far as that. But I'm worried about it from, their safety, weight cutting wise. I think that, you should have, I think 10% is a good rule because, if you weigh in at 170, you shouldn't, 17 pounds by fight night, you should have to stay under that. I think that's fair.
How could you gauge that though? Then, like, I know, like I said, boxing has a hydration clause, but so you
like okay. So Paddy Pimblett had to weigh in at 155, right?
Yeah.
So by fight day, he shouldn't get to regain an extra 15 pounds. Like he can't come in over 170 on fight day.
I don't know. I know, like I said, I know boxing does that, and I feel like it's something that like the A fighters put in to like kind of hamper the B fighters. But I feel like if you can make the weight, you should be able to rehydrate as much as you want to. I think the way to stop it is they should probably monitor your weight cut from like 6 weeks out and be like, all right, if you're not this weight by this weight, you can't cut that much weight for safety purposes. I feel like rehydration, that's just like part of the game. But I feel like maybe once they announce that you're fighting, maybe 6-7 weeks out, if you're not below a certain weight at that point, then you can't make the weight cut to your weight class. Say you got to be, say if you're in 155, 6 to 7 weeks out of the fight, you got to be at like 170 or 175 or whatever the scientists say is a proper weight cut. When you think that probably would work better, instead of the rehydration?
It could work better, but there's also some people that are a little bit different like that, like Paddy Pimblett. He probably walks around like 210, 220.
All right, well then you got to go up to another weight class if you want to walk around at that weight and you're not staying in relative good shape outside of fight camp.
Yeah, I mean, and it would only be a handful of people like that because there's only a handful that probably just go straight fat ass like that.
I'm surprised somebody, like, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm surprised nobody's thought of that. Or like, certain weeks, unless it's like a last minute, it should be like exceptions, of course. They can make exceptions if you're a last minute replacement, maybe in some instances. But yeah, what do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I could say that. And that would promote people to stay in shape. But I say since you're making a run to check anti-doping, you might as well get their weight too. And that would give Dana more of a parameter of knowing who's ready to fight, who's out of shape, who's within cutting weight to be within qualified cutting weight. And I would say you saw it with the doping test, say what your walk around weight, and then the USADA test would go into a computer to update to see who's ready to fight, who's you're not even going to call because they're not even within cutting weight.
Yeah. And then if they're gonna get like a last minute replacement, it's like different tiers to that. So if they're getting somebody a week out, they got to be within 10 pounds of the replacement has to be within like 10 pounds. If you get like a day before, like you only could get somebody that fought within like 5 pounds or so. If not, then just scrap the fight and let the fight another day. I don't think it's that important to find a replacement. So I think they should go about it that way. But what I know that they're making the big bucks, they need to find a better way because that was not a good look. And did you see any follow-ups of it, Admire? Like, is the dude doing all right?
I haven't seen any follow-ups on it.
What about you, Steve?
No, I haven't. And it just sucks to where you finally you move the first time to Paramount and you see these highlights or whatever for your first show. So that kind of sucked for if any newbies came to watch or to investigate about Paramount UFC today.
Yeah,
these days.
Probably a lot of new eyes on it. Well, hopefully Smotherman's okay and they'll figure out something going forward. But let's get into these fights, fellas. An early prelim, we had at welterweight Ty Miller defeating Adam Fugit by TKO. And then the other fight on the early prelim in the heavyweight division, we had Josh Hokit defeating Denzel Freeman. And then after the fight, another cringy promo. And I know we were watching that at the same time, Am I? What were your thoughts on his follow-up promo?
That dude's just weird, man. He's trying too hard. Like, I think, but I do think that he knows he's a cheese dick. Like, he's not taking himself so serious. I don't think Chael Sonnen, really put it out like he was serious. I think this dude knows he's not serious. Like, there's no way. Like, he's just cheesy as shit. And I mean, he's backing it up so far. So I mean, he can do whatever he wants.
Well, you laughing? What were your thoughts on it, Steve?
Oh yeah, he's like, I'll make the crowd combust and acting like Hulk Hogan and stuff. But I'm just not upset. But I'm like, dang, you had to beat up the multiverse Carl Winslow.
Oh yeah, I don't know where they got that dude from. But I put my antennas up. He was like, I'm the baddest N-word. I'm like, whoa, like you said N-word. It sounds like you just wanted to straight up say it. Like, why even put that in there? You're gonna censor yourself. Like, go all in if you're about that life. It's just why even put that in there at all.
I must have missed that part.
You didn't? I know Admire probably heard that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little clownish, but I mean, everybody's trying to get the viral clip in the viral moment. And he looks a lot older than he really is. I think he's not even 30. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah. I mean, if you would ask me how old he is, I would have guessed 36.
Yeah, he'd be around my age or maybe even older. So, yeah, maybe he'll take a trip in Turkey and get some plants, and I don't know. Yeah, but there was only 2 fights on the early prelims. I'm guessing because of the Smotherman fight. So let's move to the prelims. On the prelims at catchweight, we had Alex Perez defeating Charles Johnson. Somebody missed weight. I'm not quite sure who missed it. It's supposed to be a flyweight fight. Light heavyweight division, we had Nikita Krylov defeating Modestas Bukakas by TKO. Middleweight division, we had Adiba Gautier defeating Andre Pulayev by decision. And the top just went off at catchweight because Figueiredo missed weight. We had Umar Nurmagomedov defeating Davison Figueiredo by unanimous decision. Did any of y'all get to check out these prelims?
Oh, yeah. I watched them all. A lot of stuff went on here. So a lot of finishes. through the most of the fights. So I'll go back to the Krylov fight. That was a wild back and forth fight, and it, the finish happened with 3 seconds left in the whole fight, 3 seconds left in round 3. So that shit was wild. It was back and forth, and I actually thought Krylov was going to lose the decision until he got the knockout at the end. The Adaba Gautier fight, that went to a decision when that fight was like the one of the whole card that everybody had most likely to end in a finish. So that was wild. Then it went to a decision. And then the Umar and Figueiredo fight, most people thought that Umar was just going to wrestle him and take him down and just control him. And Umar kind of showed that he can stand and fight and use the stand-up. So he kind of showed that he's not just a ground fighter and a one-trick pony guy. So Umar looked kind of good in all areas.
Before I come back to that, I know you were intrigued by the Gautier fight, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts on that?
He definitely has power to end it and showed that. But when I saw Pulev, where he was getting back up, had heart in the chin, I'm like, oh, this is like Stipe and Francis, where he couldn't get him out, and it was going to the third round. But Adaba, he stuck in there and tried to get him out of there, and Andre, he kept on coming and it turned into a decision. But this, I think, shows Gautier has some things to work on. I don't think it was just maybe the opponent's sturdiness. I think he had more than enough power and execution to finish it. And I had my hopes about him, and he won. But since I saw this fight, I don't want him to go straight ahead, because I think if he can't get these higher level fighters out, and they're throwing some fire back, I think he may have some trouble. And a wrestler also.
Yeah, so when that Gautier fight started, I thought he was going to get him out of there because he was swinging, but I don't know if he was a little bit gassed or he was trying a little bit too hard. Sometimes if you chase the knockout, you don't get it. But I mean, he won convincingly, but I thought he was going to go in there and get a highlight. So I don't know. Maybe this was a learning experience without having to take a loss. So maybe he'll go back to the drawing board and see what he can do, because when you're fighting unranked fighters, you want to, win in spectacular fashion. And it was just like a run-of-the-mill victory. Those first two fights, I watched them, but you got a better memory than me. I can't even remember. I remember them ending the finishes, but I can't remember how the finishing sequences went with like the Krylov fight and the Perez fight. I remember Charles Johnson not looking that good though.
Yeah. Charles Johnson's fucked up haircut. I don't remember exactly.
He had the George Jefferson. I remember noticing that he had the George Jefferson, like none in the middle and then on the sides. That was an interesting haircut. But,
yeah, I don't remember the finish on that Perez and Johnson, but I do remember the Krylov finish. And then the Gautier fight, I was like, man, yeah, kind of like what Steve said. I was like, man, he's looked so good, and now he runs into this guy that's kind of unranked, unheard of, and having a hard time getting him out of there. So it kind of slows down the brakes on him. And, I was kind of like, man, I'd like to see him go against Bo Nickel.
I think Bo Nickel is probably going to hunt for people ranked. So I don't know if he would take, that's like it's not like a low reward, high risk fight, because what kind of clout would Bo Nickel get for beating Gautier at this point? Gautier is not even ranked at this time. So,
but Bo Nickel barely just got ranked.
Yeah, but still ranked. You don't go backwards after that, and you don't want somebody to catch on fire from beating you and taking your shine. So I don't know. They'll probably give Gautier another unranked fight, but like I said, I put a pin in the Nurmagomedov and Figueiredo, and I'm gonna get back to that. Amai, you said you thought Nurmagomedov looked good on the feet. I feel like this was an underwhelming performance, and I feel like he did do takedowns like in 2 or 3 of those rounds. I can't remember. It was the first or second round. It was definitely the third round. He got that takedown and was kind of holding him down, but it was either the first or second round too. He got the takedown, and I know at the end of the second round, Figueiredo got up and he was trying to get him out of there. He was like mad that he got taken down. He was like kind of fighting with some angst to it. But then in the third round, he settled back down, and I guess missing that weight, he didn't look good. But I didn't think Nurmagomedov's performance was that impressive if he's trying to get in there with Peter Yan or even Merab fight, a Merab rematch, because he fought Merab when Merab had the title. But I don't know. I guess you were more impressed than I was, am I?
Yeah, I mean, he still took him down, but it wasn't just like a lay and pray the whole time. I mean, he completely outstruck him. Like he, grew 3 times the amount of strikes. I mean, I just thought he looked, much better than Figueiredo did. I think that he used a lot more tools in this fight. This showed that he's a more well-rounded fighter overall.
Yeah. I mean, was he ranked like 1 or 2? Probably 2, because I'm sure Merab is still ranked number 1.
Yeah, he's 2.
Yeah, I don't know. What were your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, it was almost as expected. Figueiredo been disappointing me lately because this fight, I guess this type of style fight, I guess is based on time and if you can survive the onslaught on the feet, it's about getting taken down and getting back up. And I just didn't sense urgency of getting back up. And maybe he saw the urgency, like you said, in round number 2, but I'm like, dang, he settled down in 3 and maybe hyped up a little bit after he got back on the feet towards the end of the fight. But, looking back at it, you just wish he had enough energy. I feel like he had enough energy after the fight to where he could have exerted that in the fight. And I feel like Figueiredo will be in these positions since he moved to bantamweight.
Yeah, I feel like if there was like boxing, like a weight class in between flyweight and bantamweight, that would be perfect for Figueiredo, because he missed weight. I don't know. He even missed weight for this bantamweight fight, so I don't even know if he can make in between that. I don't know. It's weird to see a champion like that kind of go out like he's going out right now. So I don't know what he could do at this point. Maybe be disciplined and get back down to 125, because I know they say it's harder to cut weight when you get older, but we've seen instances where you just got to be disciplined and just switch up the plan, because we see it with Jose Aldo. He cut down more weight at an older age, and Kenny Florian, he went down all the way like the featherweight towards the end of his career. So it can be done. So maybe Figueiredo, get with his team and figure out a way how to have better weight cuts. But yeah, so you think Umar will get the next title shot, Admire?
I don't think he'll get the next title shot. I think, he's just not going to do well up there. I mean, we kind of seen what happened last time that he got the title shot. And, those guys that are up there right now are just going to handle him pretty easily.
I'm not quite sure about that. Maybe he might need a little bit, maybe another fight or two. But a guy will probably, who we'll talk about later, will probably end up leapfrogging him, and we'll get into that later. I don't know. You don't think he'll get a title shot either, Steve?
No, I don't think so, because he got beat too decisively at his last fight with
Merab.
And I would say, if anything, he would get the loser of Peter Yan and Merab, but I think he would be set in the back pocket. The UFC would, I think, because he's already fought, and see what happens with Merab and Peter Yan.
Yeah, he might be stuck in purgatory right now, but we'll see what they do with him next. And before we jump into the main card, before they went on the air with the main card, they showed a little highlight package, and our guy Dominic Cruz is going into the Hall of Fame. What were your thoughts when you saw that, Admire?
Yeah, man. I figured eventually he would. He's got such a crazy career. I watched all the WEC fights back in the day. I mean, I used to watch that shit all the time. And, I watched all his fights back then. Um, then his career was just plagued with injuries. It seems like he would have a fight and then he would be gone for like years because he would be injured. And it seems like I don't even remember him having that many fights in the UFC just because of injuries. I remember he came back and he got the belt. And how many fights did he have in the UFC? 2?
Nah, he had more. He had way more than that. They were just spread out because he just retired. But yeah, he didn't fight frequently, but he had more than 2 fights. But yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what do you see his legacy as in the UFC? Because he was a fighter that came around, when like you said, they absorbed WEC and
Yeah, he had a lot of fights.
They got bantamweight, they got featherweight, and those weren't really glamour divisions when they came in. And I remember when he first came in, he just seemed unbeatable. He had those trilogy fights with Faber. So, like, what do you see his legacy as in the sport, Steve?
I think it's stamped. I remember, like you said, champion and another promotion came to the UFC. Injuries. I remember the time he was injured and he was out, and then he came back on the scene to challenge for the belt again. I can't remember who he beat for it.
When he came back, didn't he beat Cody Garbrandt for it? No. He beat TJ Dillashaw for it when he came back.
Yeah, that's what it was. And that feud, I was really working for Cruz, rooting for Cruz because I can't remember if this was even before the Conor stuff about, the snake or whatever. But I for some reason, I didn't like TJ Dillashaw's attitude because I was hearing about how he operates in the gym, before all that stuff. And I was hoping Cruz would win, and he pulled that win off because it was about competition, how TJ was still in basically Dominic Cruz style. So that was a good promoted fight. And remember, he went against Garbrandt and lost it, and he's lost it, but still, he's been a fighter that's been on the radar every time he's fought, and sought a very high sought fighter to look at when he was on any card, I believe.
And yeah, you look at his record, he's only lost 4 times, and one was in the WEC, and that was the Uriah Faber, and he got that trilogy. He won the next 2 fights against Uriah Faber. It's just that he was injured so much, you thought that he probably lost it. He didn't lose. He just wasn't fighting. So I don't know. I feel like he's the Grant Hill or Derrick Rose of MMA. Like, what could have been if he would have stayed healthy? Because, like I said, I remember he just seemed unbeatable when he came up from WEC. Then he take out basically the whole alpha male team at one point. Until he ran into Garbrandt.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, he didn't get along with that team alpha male. Like, he lost to Faber back at WEC, and they did not get along. They're friends now, but they did not get along. And I think his big highlight should be that he was the first person to beat Demetrius Johnson in the UFC.
Yeah, but bantamweight, that's bantamweight Demetrius Johnson. We know his bread and butter was in flyweight, but yeah, that's nothing. That's still a feather in his cap. I will give you that. But that wasn't, I think it was in physical prime Demetrius Johnson, but I don't think Demetrius really hit his stride until he went down and got the flyweight belt. But when he went to 1, he went back up to bantamweight. So yeah, you could give that to Dominic Cruz as well. So yeah, I mean, all of those UFC commentators get into the Hall of Fame, but he's a pioneer as far as the smaller division. So hats off to Dominic Cruz. But let's get into the main card, fellas. In the featherweight division, we had John Silva defeating Arnold Allen by unanimous decision. And I did not think this fight would go the distance because John Silva's been a wrecking ball, but it went to decision. And pretty slow first round. Allen seemed to be a little more active and landed cleaner shots. Then with about 10 seconds left, Silva put his foot on the gas and was putting it on Allen even after the bell went off. And Allen gave him a little bit of push after the round. Well, somebody pushed somebody, I remember, after the round. And he's like, oh, let's get a little chippy in there. And then that second round, that jab looked good from Allen early on, but Silva stunned him with that left hand, and it was a little bit back and forth. Each fighters were landing some hard shots in that round. It was a very close round, but I thought Silva's shots were a little bit more powerful. And then in that third round, Silva was the more aggressive fighter, and I thought he won that round decisively, and that was the one round I wanted to fight. What were your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, this is a pretty good fight. Allen started out really good, I thought, and then I don't know, man. It seems like something just kind of turned on Silva like halfway through the first round, and he just really picked it up. It seems like he just got himself angry or just pep talked himself in the head or something. He just turned it up, and it just seems like he hit the gas going all the way through. And I think that he's the only fighter I've ever seen pull the surfboard move.
Oh, yeah. Then he jumped on his back, didn't he?
Yep.
I forgot about that. Is that legal? Like, they should ban that if it is. I feel like you can really mess somebody up like jumping on their back like that.
Yeah, that was wild, dude. I mean, I don't know if it's legal or not. I mean, technically it's kind of a kick, but are you allowed to kick people in their back?
I don't think it's illegal, but maybe we should take a look at it. I don't see like a lot of scenarios where that would happen, but it did. That was weird. What were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Yeah, I was Silva is one of those people I look forward to look at in the fight. His style, I would say a little bit of Connor style with a little bit of something else I can't remember, but very crafty, creative. Definitely one of the people that's a master, I'd say so far, at throwing that spinning elbow as far as seeing it more than once. He'd be pulling that off. And I think, like you said, he got to a certain point to where something turned on and think got the better of Allen. And like I said, if y'all see that he jumped off his back, there's a still picture of he looks like he's ballet swan posing. If y'all ever get a chance to look at that.
I didn't get to see that. It looked like he was swan posing, you said?
Yeah, they got a still picture of him swan posing
On his back.
after the jump off. He looks like he's balleting in the air.
I'm surprised people are not gonna make that into a meme and put him into like different, do like Photoshop him in the different scenarios with that. But, that's funny. But all three of us picked Silva in that one, and I don't know who is he ranked coming into this Admire. I don't know who he would get matched up with next.
I think he was number 10 coming into this.
Really, he's ranked that high?
I believe so. Let's
see. I didn't get a chance to look at the rankings before or afterwards, after the fight. So I don't know if there's been any movement as far as that goes.
Let's see if they updated. Oh, yeah, they moved him up to number 6.
Oh, yeah. So he's moving on up. And I was thinking off the top of my head of those fight nerd guys. I don't know if anybody else is in this camp is in that division. They seems like they're pretty spread out. I know they got a lightweight, a welterweight, even middleweight. So
yeah, he jumped up from number 10 to number 6.
Yeah, so a couple more fights and he'll be in the mix. We'll see what happens with him in the future. But let's move on to this next fight in the women's flyweight division. We had Natalia Silva defeating Rose Namajunas by unanimous decision. All three of us had Silva in this one. And not a whole lot of action, especially in that first round. I thought Rose edged out Silva, but it could have went either way. You even heard the commentators mention, like, we hoping it's not a repeat of the Esparza Rose fight. And I thought that second round, Rose was the more active fighter. I thought that control she had on top won her that round. And then that third round, Silva had more urgency and was the more pressing forward fighter. And judges gave it a nod. That spring round, I guess, was round one, and they thought Silva had it. What were your thoughts, Admire?
Yeah, man. I thought that Rose won rounds 1 and 2, and I was very surprised when they read the cards. Silva didn't really do much in my eyes for rounds 1 and 2. I mean, she definitely won round 3. I mean, there's no doubt about that one. But the consensus I'm seeing online is everybody else thinks Rose won that fight as well. I mean, I'm not seeing a lot of people saying that Silva won that fight. So I'm going to go back and rewatch it just to see if I can see anything different this time around. But yeah, I mean, even though I picked Silva on this one, I agree that Rose won.
Oh, I didn't even look at the social media, the temperature that it was in social media. I didn't know people agree with me. I thought I might have been the only one that thought Rose won that fight. Well, what do you think about that, Steve?
I can definitely agree. I think so too. Let alone from what I remember, Rose is the only one who had a takedown, right? In that whole fight.
I think briefly, I don't know if she was able to hold her down like that. I don't remember her getting like a extensive takedown time or ground time.
Silva had a takedown in the last round.
Okay, Silva got it. Okay.
But Rose did have a takedown in round 2.
And then based off the judges, and for real, quite honestly, that wasn't an entertaining fight for me. And it was, I could say, to me, it could have went either way. You could have looked at Silva pressing Rose back and being a little bit more aggressive on the striking end as the wager to see who won it. So, I mean, I agree, Rose. I think Rose won, but it wasn't an entertaining too big of a, so to speak, significant strike that waged the rounds.
Yeah. That's why they say you can't leave it in the hands of the judges, and we complain about this a lot. And this is where you can't blame people for having their 10 hats on, because then wasn't Silva a big favorite in this fight?
Yeah, she was a minus 400 favorite. Rose was a plus 300 underdog.
Yeah, and who knows? Like, people always have these conspiracy theories that these judges are in cahoots with some of these odds makers in Vegas. So, not helping their case with this outcome. So, shout out to Natalia Silva, though. And what was Silva ranked coming into this? Or not coming out into this world. What was she ranked after the fight? Admire. I don't know if you still had it in front of you.
Let's see.
This is flyweight. So she's
Natalia
number one
Silva,
now.
She moved up one.
She's tied with Farrell. So she was 3 coming into this fight because he went up 1. So she's right there in line. See, somebody can solve the Shevchenko puzzle again, like Russell did at one point. Well, so we shall see. But up next, heavyweight division, big boys. We had Waldo Cortez Acosta defeating Derek Lewis by TKO. Me and Admire both had Acosta, and Steve had Derek Lewis. So that first round I gave to Acosta, but it wasn't a whole lot of action. I feel like both guys were kind of gazing each other and scared to go forward a little bit. Not scared, but you got to be smart at heavyweight. You don't want to get caught. And I thought that second round, Acosta settled in and he started working that jab. Lewis slipped later on in that round, and then Acosta grazed him with that jab a little bit later on, and then he got him out of there with that ground and pound. What are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Well, I think Derek Lewis has lost inspiration. I mean, from where he's fighting, I think he's relied on laying back and countering, and then having that one strike right overhand to where he seems like he's not paying attention. And I think too much of a counter striker has made him too linear to even up and comer Waldo Cortez Acosta, whose size was, I think, significantly smaller. And I feel like Derek Lewis is one of those bigger heavyweights, and you see how Costas got him out of there with precision, especially those like ground and pound shots. Like it was a straight, accurate to the ear, behind the ear shots. And this is a person Waldo Cortez, I think, might be sleeping on, and because he just surpassed a veteran that's known to get people out of there. So big ups to him.
Admire.
Yeah, I think Steve's right. Like Derek Lewis is a counter striker type. Like he has to have somebody bringing the fight to him for him to do good. Like he needs somebody swinging at him so he can wing something and land the knockout shot. And, Cortez Acosta was not playing that game. Like he was just very calculated with the shots, waiting for openings and, just being very, very patient. And that's why Derek Lewis just couldn't do anything. And that's why, I think he was just frustrated and kind of just gave up at that point and, just kind of laid there and took it. So I think Cortez Acosta is a great fighter. I think he'll probably be fighting for a title within the next year. So, he's athletic, got power. I think he's going to do very well.
Well, we know the heavyweight division isn't the most competitive division, but he's ranked number 5. So you may be right, Amai. He probably will get a title shot if things go the way they are. And I guess Aspinall needed surgery for real as far as that eye goes, Amai.
Yeah, that's the word on the street.
It didn't even seem that bad. That's crazy. Don must have hit like the exact, not right spot, but he hit the spot that shouldn't have been hit. He had pinpoint accuracies as far as that eye poke. So then we got the Jones still floating out there, even though he's not in the rankings anymore. So who knows what can happen there at heavyweight. But yeah, Costa looked good and he did what he needed to do. And I guess Lewis is just the perennial gatekeeper at this point, Amar.
Derek Lewis is officially the heavyweight gatekeeper.
Oh man. Was there any follow up with the peptides, or they just sweep it under the rug?
Swept it under the rug. I think, I don't think anybody wants to talk about it, especially on the UFC brass side.
Sweeping under the rug is crazy. I guess if you don't talk about it, it just, won't pop up if you just don't talk about it. I guess he's just a gatekeeper, like you said, Amar, because he's gotten a title shot. Did he get 2 title shots? I know he got one against Daniel Cormier. But has he had he had an interim title shot against Gane too. I forgot about that. So yeah, not everybody gets a title shot. Maybe he's overachieved because didn't he do a jail bid? So not a lot of people expected him to get to UFC, and he's getting checks, and he's like a cult figure. He's a cult hero. A lot of people like seeing him fight. So I think we'll just see him in like fun fights, gatekeeper fights in the future. But you still make a lot of money that way. But let's move to the co-main event, fellas. Bantamweight division. You had Sugar Sean O'Malley defeating Song Yudong by unanimous decision. All 3 of us had Sean O'Malley. In that first round, Song looked like he had bad intentions with those punches he was throwing. Like he was throwing everything to him, but O'Malley did a good job of using those kicks early on, and with about 30 seconds left in the round, Song got the takedown. That second round, Song was forward pressing, and he was landing those leg kicks on O'Malley, and you could tell it was bothering O'Malley. Song was able to get a takedown as well, but O'Malley did a good job of getting back up on his feet. And then that third round, O'Malley picked it up, and he was peppering him. And I can't remember if it was the second round or the third round where O'Malley caught him with that Song with that knee. Which round was that, Admire?
I think that was in the second. I think
so that was the second round. So yeah, so that's when like it kind of turned around, and the blood was flying, and you could tell that Song was wearing it on his face, and O'Malley started settling in and doing O'Malley things, picking and popping and catching them when he could, and O'Malley was able to grind out that win. What were your thoughts on this one, Am I?
It was a pretty decent fight. I don't know. Just looking at the fight overall, I thought that Song Yadong won.
Really?
Just kind of just judging it overall. This is another one of the fights that I'm going to have to go back and watch because I felt that Song won round one. I felt that he won round two, and then O'Malley won round three. So I'm going to have to go back and watch it. Kind of looking at the metrics and the striking totals and stuff. It skews it. It doesn't always tell the whole story because you got to kind of base it on the damage. And Song did get some takedowns, but he didn't really do a lot with it. The one towards the end of the round and stuff like that. So I want to go back and watch it and see. But just I remember watching it thinking, oh man, O'Malley lost this for sure. And, like I said on the other fight, there has been some talk online about, maybe some bad judging on this one, but, it was unanimous. So, all the judges did see it that way. Usually if there's some bad judging, it's usually a split decision or, pretty lopsided.
I think I got to go back and watch this fight as well because looking at my notes, when I take notes during the fight, it's looking like my notes are skewing towards that. It looks like a Song Yadong won, but I got to go back.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, watching it real time, I thought Song Yadong won for real.
So, but then I remember the knee, and I don't know, maybe that knee turned things around. What are your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Yeah, I could. Taking notes. I was looking up. Maybe the first round, but to me, I was starting to see Sean O'Malley pick up maybe pattern in defense and also peppering shots in there. And the visuals of somebody's damage and seeing that he was getting crisper shots in and Saddam Yadong, he was getting shots, but not as crisp as Sean O'Malley. Maybe that's what persuaded me, and maybe the judges. Because at a certain point, I remember Sean O'Malley was like, he started doing his swagger movement, like Neo. He's like starting to believe, so he started doing that in the second and in the third. That's not what convinced me. I feel like he just got the better shots in.
Well, so you saw it as you thought O'Malley's went straight up. You don't think it was much controversy, Steve?
I could say it was close, but if controversy, I for real didn't hear it or see comparison, and I didn't take notes, so I'll take you guys' word for it. But I didn't even think y'all was gonna bring up Song Yadong. Should have won that. It's new to me.
Like I said, that's what my notes say, but I'm having trouble repicturing the fight in my head. So I don't know. I got to go back and watch it. But Amar said from what he saw, he looked like Dong probably edged it out with it. I don't know. It's still a close fight either way. But, talking about Sean O'Malley and what can happen with him in the future, we talked about Umar Nurmagomedov getting skipped over. Do you think that Sean O'Malley is a guy that jumps over him and gets a title shot? Am I?
Possibly, just because I think the UFC likes Sean O'Malley. We've talked about before kind of his online presence, especially with like the podcast world. I think he's good for business, a lot better than Umar. So I think the UFC wants to give O'Malley the push again. He's just better for business, brings in more money, brings in more viewers.
What about you, Steve? What do you think?
I would say, O'Malley is in a unique position. I would think so. And Umar is popular, of course, but he's more of popular putting him against somebody. I think O'Malley already has the stardom, and they can create lore behind him. You know, I don't think all of them are Russian. I don't think Marab's Russian, but I mean, it's him, O'Malley against the three, you know, the Eastern Europeans, you know, and
Marab is Georgian. He's from
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah,
but now he's American. He got a citizenship like a couple years ago, so he got dual citizenship. But yeah, like you said, Eastern European, or originated from all of those fighters you talked about.
And they can make themselves the four horsemen of the featherweight division, you know, going back and forth, because that's what it's looking like right now.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Dana was about to cream his pants when he saw O'Malley win. You know, he got that win over Jan, and I'm doing air quotes for people that's listening on audio. I thought he lost that fight to Jan, but in the record books, it's a win, so you could definitely sell that fight now that Jan's got the championship. And I'm thinking they're gonna push for that to be on this White House card. Like, I feel like this White House card almost has the same type of, you know, lore that what was the fight that they were building up for a long time? The one happening in the Spear. I feel like that got a lot of hype. Fight Island. A lot of people were talking about that during the pandemic. That got a lot of hype, and that wasn't what people thought it was gonna be. People thought they were gonna be fighting on the beach or something, and they were just inside of a building. And then the Spear, it was pretty cool, but I feel like this White House card is like the next thing that people are talking about. I mean, how many title fights are they trying to get on this card? I've heard so many outrageous hypothetical fights on this card, and you're shaking your head at my.
Yeah, there's so many different things. Like, it's unreal. Like, if everybody that claims that they want to be on it or claims they're going to be on it got on it, this is going to be like a 10-hour fight card with like 12 title fights.
I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. I just wish it would hurry up and come and go, because I feel like it's all smoke and mirrors. I don't know. I feel like it's being hyped a lot. And like you said, all of those people can't be on that one card. Like, we looking at some of these fights coming up, and all these fight night cards look a lot of watered down that they're having besides like main events. And then even looking at one happening in March, I'm like, this looks like a fight night card, but whatever. I'm not the boss. Dana does whatever he wants to do. But let's talk about the main event in this one, fellas. Lightweight division. We had Justin Gaethje defeating Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title. All three of us had Paddy Pimblett in this one. That first round, Justin dropped Pimblett with that big right uppercut. He tried to get him out of there. I thought it was over early, but Paddy was able to recover. Paddy landed a big uppercut that stunned Justin, and with about a minute left, Justin accidentally poked Paddy in the eye, and I'm like, oh no, not this again. And then in the last 30 seconds, both guys were just doing rock'em sock'em robots and just throwing. And then that second round, Paddy was going backwards a lot of that round, and Justin pushed forward that pressured, and then about 40 seconds left, Justin dropped Paddy again and followed up with ground and pound, but Paddy was saved by the bell, and on replay they showed that Justin poked him in the eye again. So it wasn't a good look with the eye pokes. And that third round, Paddy worked his way back in the fight and was popping that jab, and Paddy was finding his groove and caught Justin with a knee to the nether regions in the net. So a few fouls in this one. And in that fourth round, Justin hurt Paddy again with that left hook. And a few seconds later after that, he dropped him again briefly with another left hook. And Justin just kept landing big shots. But, one thing that we can say now about Paddy, he has a hell of a chin, and landed a flurry of punches towards the end of the round, but I don't know if that was enough to get him back to steal that round. And then that fifth round, every time Paddy gained a little more momentum, Justin countered and shut it down. And then, it was a little bit too late, but Paddy tried throwing caution to the wind with about 1 minute left, but Justin weathered the storm and got the win. What were your thoughts on this one, Admire?
Yeah, this is a fun fight. And I mean, Justin has never been in a boring fight. So dude's just an animal. I mean, he's willing to just throw with anybody. He throws bad intentions every time. One thing I never heard after the fight, and he didn't mention it, but they did mention during the fight, and the broadcasters did. Did you see him holding his right hand and like he didn't throw a punch for a little bit? I don't know if his hand bothered him or what, but it seemed like he was having a little bit of trouble with his right hand for a little bit. Yeah, Patty can take a punch, man. Like that was wild. Not what I expected. We've seen Patty's last couple fights, and he just kind of completely dominated people. And then, this was a little bit different. I don't know if the weight cut wore on him, if that big shot from Justin early in the fight, just kind of had him out there or what. But that's just not what he looked like when he went against Chandler, when he went against Bobby Green. He just didn't seem like the same fighter. So, yeah, I mean, not a lot to say. I mean, it was a good fight, but it just, I don't know. A lot of people are having different opinions on it, saying, this is what happens when you get fast-tracked to a title shot, thinking that Patty didn't deserve it. I mean, he did hang in there with the best of the best, but is what it is.
Steve?
Yeah, Justin Gaethje finally did it. The 2 title runs he did is sort of similar. We get hurt or slip, get behind him and choke him, and sort of thinking that was possible for him against Pimblett, since he's a submission on the ground. And I think that's what got him. He was against Gaethje. I think Gaethje was like, I'm getting old and I need to stop being stubborn and use my wrestling when I have to, which I think helped him out a lot, even though he gave up position. I think he gave good shots to either tire him out and put his chest on his back, and as far as the grappling, or giving him those shovel shots while he was on the ground, ground and pounding. I think that took a lot out of Pimblett, and we saw Gaethje actually utilize something of his wrestling this time, let alone his striking that he has. And I think Pimblett was just discouraged to either get the takedown because he couldn't, or he had too much heat to worry about on the feet. He obviously tried, and Gaethje denied it every time, and that's probably what stopped motivation from the game plan all along. It just probably went with his hands from then on, which obviously we seen didn't benefit him. So Gaethje executed a plan, and I heard Gaethje threw a leg kick 1 or 2 times, and they're always good. But I heard he didn't use leg kicks this time because he said that's how who did he fight before this got the takedown, and then he didn't want that to happen. So he put out a smart plan. He's probably was going to get the takedown from the leg kicks.
He fought Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah, he said he got the takedown because of that.
And he's been out for almost a year. I can't believe that it's been that long that between fights for Gaethje. He hadn't fought since March of last year before. Yeah, sometimes it's good to get some time off to, kind of refresh yourself and go back to the drawing board. But before we talk more about Gaethje, Pimblett, he didn't lose his ranking. He stayed in that number 5 spot. Where does he go from here, Adam Meyer?
I think that the UFC kind of just has to evaluate kind of where he's at. Really, I mean, we got, the next card this weekend that we were going to talk about, Dan Hooker's on. And I think Patty Pimblett and Dan Hooker have had a lot of back and forth. They're ranked really close. I think it makes sense, win or lose, put Dan Hooker and Patty Pimblett against each other. They already don't like each other. Just let them bang.
Yeah, that may be interesting. What do you think, Steve?
I can definitely see that fight. They have had a back and forth. Pimblett's not talking about anybody else he's been beefing with for real, because they're on the rise to get a title shot, so he can't promote that. So I think that's his next best choice.
Well, looking at who Hooker's facing this weekend, I don't know if Pimlet should get Hooker if he loses. I think he should just get the winner of that fight, actually, between St. Denis and Hooker, and see what happens.
Yeah, that'll work.
Because I don't think, because I'm almost positive Pimlet hasn't faced St. Denis yet.
Yeah, Pimlet hasn't really fought anybody in the top 15. I mean, he's fought Michael Chandler because before that he fought Bobby Green, and Bobby Green wasn't ranked. I mean, that's what people are saying, that Paddy Pimblett was fast tracked up here to that title shot. He beat Michael Chandler, and that was it.
Wasn't King Green like hovering around that 15, like the 13 ranking though for a little bit?
I think he was right around the top of it.
So, but yeah, like you said, he hadn't gotten like a top 10 win or anything like that. So, yeah, it's been a while since Pimlet's lost. This is his first UFC loss. So he's not a bum, but like you said, maybe the level of competition wasn't there. He fought an old Ferguson, so take that for what it's worth. But yeah, he'll be fine, I'm sure. Like if he takes a step back and fights somebody a little bit ranked a little bit lower than him, then he'll be fine. But talking about the Gaethje side of things, this is his second interim title that he's won. Will this be how he gets over the hump, and finally win undisputed championship at the age of 37?
Nah, no. I mean, as long as Topuria is champion, there ain't no way. I mean, Topuria's just got hands. You know, he's the bad man. Like, Gaethje's always got a chance, though. I mean, it's hard to say that he doesn't have a chance just because he, just like the end of the Max fight, like Gaethje will put it all on the line and just throw, and he always has that chance of landing. I mean, anything could happen, but odds aren't good when you try that shit with Topuria. I mean, Topuria is just too powerful, too accurate. Not good odds.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, saying Max Holloway knocked out Gaethje, we didn't expect that. And you see what Topuria did with Max Holloway. I think, like you said, the odds aren't in Gaethje's favor. Topuria, cleaner, crisper. He set Charles Oliveira up, and by the time he set him up, he threw a fake jab that he was throwing the whole fight and feinted that and went straight for the 1-2 combination with the hooks. And we don't see Gaethje like that. It's more of awkward positioned power shots that are sneaky and maybe unconventional. But like I said, he's too precise for Gaethje's. I would say, I wouldn't say sloppy boxing, but it's not as crisp as Topuria's.
Yeah, I'm with you, I don't think it's a snowball's chance in hell he wins the undisputed championship as long as Topuria has it. Maybe if they were the same age, because Topuria was like 28, 29. I just think Justin Gaethje being a little bit older, can't take the shots like he used to. But like a 28, 29-year-old Gaethje, I think he'd have a puncher's chance. Whoever would land the biggest punch first would probably win that fight if they were the same age. But nah, I don't see him winning that fight. If Topuria comes back with a good head on the shoulders, because we don't know what's going on with his personal life. So hopefully Topuria gets things ironed out and, comes back bigger and stronger and better than ever. But overall, thought this card was fine. At the rankings, me and Admire both went 4-1. Steve went 3-2. So, before we get into this weekend's card, new segment we're gonna be doing is looking at it at the comment section and looking at what outrageous comments people put online, and I'll let you kick this off, Admire.
Yeah. So it's called the casual comment of the month, and MMA fans say goofy shit all the time. So every time we have a show, I'm going to find a comment that somebody made and see what you guys think about it. So I found a comment today related to the fights we just watched talk about. So this guy on Reddit, IDC Man 999, says, "It's over for Gaethje. Despite the win, he looked washed and awful. It's just that Patty looked worse. Once he loses to Ilia Topuria, he should retire. He's not beating Ziam, Torres, or Rufi. The new guard is here."
Huh. And so he's basically saying Gaethje, it's a wrap for Gaethje, but he's basically shitting on both of the guys because he said Pimblett was just worse than Gaethje.
Yeah, it says it's over for Gaethje. Despite the win, he looked washed and awful. What?
I'll let you decipher that one first, Steve, while I'm still thinking about. There's a lot to unpack with that.
I could say maybe based off his perspective, because I could say Pimblett was tagging him with some slip uppercuts, and like we were talking about earlier, man, if Pimblett was getting the shots off that Gaethje was getting hit by against Topuria, I think it would be a wrap for Gaethje, because Gaethje wasn't compromised, but there was a few hits where like, ooh, I don't think he can get hit too many of those. And I thought it was going to be one of those Gaethjes, you're doing good like Charles Oliveira and get caught. So based off he's going to be fighting the champion, Ilia, I don't think he can be fighting like he did Pimblett.
So who did that comment again? Who did they say that he would lose to?
Basically, he named three of the other lightweights. He says he's not beating Ziam, Torres, or Rufi.
Are those guys even ranked?
I think so, because Rufi has a fight this weekend.
Yeah, he's fighting this weekend.
Yeah, Rufi's 14.
And he said Ziam is 15, or Ziam. And then who's the other guy?
Torres.
Manuel Torres. So he just ranked the 15th, 14th, and 13th fighter. Yeah, this guy's just I don't agree with that. He's just saying shit just to say shit. Like he said, it's definitely a casual. But read the beginning of the comment at first, because I feel like he did have actually maybe a slight good point in there.
Says it's over for Gaethje. Despite the win, he looked washed and awful. It's just that Patty looked worse.
You could stop there. Nah, how did he look washed? I don't understand. Yeah, this guy is just a dumbass.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's casual shit right there, because Gaethje actually looked really good, and he looked better than he did in a lot of his previous fights. I mean, he took on, if you remember in the pre-fight show, we talked about Patty Pimblett being younger, bigger, stronger, faster, all this. And Gaethje just overcame all that, being the older fighter, the more weathered fighter, So I don't know where this guy's comment, like where he came up with that.
Yeah, and I would have maybe said he had a few points if he would have named like fighters within like the top 10 that Gaethje could lose to, because like Gaethje's not invincible. So if he would have named some more like credible fighters than the fighters he named, I would okay, he got a point. But the fighters that he named, that's just clickbait. He's just trying to trace clout with that comment. And how did people comment underneath that one?
Oh, people were just like, dude, like nobody's taking you serious. And like one person, he must make dumbass comments all the time, because one person said, "How did I know it was going to be you that said this?"
What is this on Twitter?
No, it's on Reddit.
Oh man, I don't even want to. even check out the Reddit for, was it the official UFC Reddit or is it a different
Yeah,
Reddit?
there's the UFC Reddit.
I think I do follow the UFC Reddit, but when I open up Reddit, that doesn't, things from there don't pop up that often. So I'm scared to even look on the UFC Reddit. I bet it's a bunch of basement dwellers and
It is
red
definitely.
pillars in there.
Yeah.
So hey, you sir have won the dumbass casual comment of the month. And like you said, I guess he's in there a lot. If somebody said I knew it was going to be you that said it. Yeah, so this is something that we'll be doing on these recap shows. So hopefully I could find something good for us to do next month that we do this. So good shit, Admire. Well, before it gets too late, we got another fight card to talk about that's going down this weekend. I think it's the first time that we've done a recap and preview show on the MMA side of things, which is crazy that they're just churning out these cards, and I don't know when it's gonna all come to a head and things are just gonna be like, all right, now we're just putting on fights just to put on fights. It seems like that's kind of happening already, but let's just get into it, fellas. UFC 325 is going down in Sydney, Australia, and from what I saw, it's going down at regular time over here. So, which means they gotta fight in the morning time over there. You think that's fair, Admire?
I mean, yeah. I mean, just because it's keeping the same time as it is here, so it's even though it's morning over there, it's staying consistent with what they were doing over here. As long as they keep the same routine.
You think that's fair, Steve?
Well, since we all gotta take blows, I mean, we gotta take a blow in America when it's in, the Middle East and, Emirates and Dubai and all that stuff. I think everybody in the globe is taking a blow somewhat, and some of these events to have it not, as far as time for them, and I think maybe that's a schedule thing that maybe they be doing, or some of these fights in some countries might have to take the blow. And if we heard that about England or Britain, how they have to have it in the morning and they hate it. So I think maybe they rotate with different countries doing that.
See, I think since the world has shrunk and with technology, and so I don't think it's really fair for them to, I know it's an American company, so you kind of cater to the fans over here. But like you said, for the middle, when they have cars in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they have them in like the early daytime cars. I'm a pretty big fan when they have them in earlier day. I'm not falling asleep, and it's on a Saturday, so it's not like it's in the middle of the week. So it's just like watching college football. College football games start at like noon, so crack a cold one at noon and have a little happy hour and watch the fight. So I'm not mad at that. And the only reason I'm not mad at this fight being on at regular time and them having to start early in Sydney, because I think early prelims start, it'll be 10 a.m. at their time, so it's not that bad. Only thing that that kind of bothers me is when they make the fighters in London fight our regular time over here, which means the cars have to start like at 3 a.m. over there, and I don't really think that's fair to the fighters. So I'm cool with it, except for the UK fights. What's that, Admire?
So, like, right now it's 9 o'clock here. So right now in Australia it's 2 p.m.
Yeah, that's what I said. The early prelims are gonna be starting like 10 a.m. their time. The early prelims, so like the
yeah.
So
and it'll be a Sunday morning, so all them fucking Australians are going to be drinking beer on Sunday morning at the fights.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not too mad at it when it happens over there in Australia, but when it happens in the UK, I'm like, all right, y'all making these fighters fight at 3 a.m. That could literally affect the performance. They're fighting that early in the morning, no matter how much you try to go to sleep early and get your cycle back. So, like I said, I'm fine with it in Australia, but when they do it in Europe, then I feel like that's not fair. But it is what it is. But going down in this fight, these early prelims is going to be a lot of road to UFC finals. You have the featherweight, the featherweight final, the lightweight final, the bantamweight final, the flyweight final. I have not watched a single season of the road to UFC. I don't know if y'all know anything about it. If y'all could put me on game on what this is.
Nope.
Is it on YouTube? I don't know. Maybe you can do a quick Google on it. It's Road to UFC. That's what it's called. Because I'm usually up on it. I usually watch. I don't watch Dana fight contender series as much as I used to. I'll maybe watch a fight here and there. I do still keep up with Tough, Ultimate Fighter, but this Road to UFC, I have not kept up with.
Road to UFC. It's a series. Top Asian MMA prospects compete to win contracts.
It's an Asia thing. Okay, that's a good idea to spread the with the reaches to UFC, because I know they've been trying to dip into that Asian market for a while. So hey,
yeah, and it's a tournament format. It sounds like
kind of like Tough. So hey, shout out to that show. I'm sure it's doing well enough if they're on their fourth season, but looking at the early preliminary card, it's a lot of Asian fighters and a lot of Pacific Islanders on there. So I had to do my research on some of the pronunciations. But we had in the flyweight division, we have Aaron Toe versus Namzari Badabar. And then in the bantamweight division, we had Sulong Rangbo versus Lawrence Louis. In featherweight division, we have Ichiro Nakamura versus Sebastian Saleh. And then lightweight division, we have Kim Sang-wook versus Dalmar Fan. And in the top, this one off, we have featherweight division, we have Khan Ofli versus Yi Jia. So, like I said, a lot of these are road to UFC fighters. So I'm pretty sure y'all probably aren't familiar with a lot of these fighters, but I'm guessing if y'all have some extra time, y'all take a peek at it.
Yep. If I'm free, I will.
Same with you, Steve.
Yeah, definitely.
And, usually a lot of highlights come from the early prelims. So I'm sure we'll see it on TikTok or on YouTube Shorts if something notable happens in these early prelims. But let's move on to the regular prelims. All of these are happening on Paramount Plus. Well, the early prelims are happening on Fight Pass as well, but these regular prelims are strictly for Paramount Plus. In the welterweight division, we have Jonathan McCaleb versus Oben Elliott. In the middleweight division, we have Jacob Malcolm versus Torres Finney. Middleweight division, we have Cameron Roston versus Cody Brundage. And then to top this one off, the light heavyweight division, we have Junior Tafa versus Billy Elikana. Any of these fights pique your interest, Admire?
Nothing too big. I mean, Cody Brundage, he's always decent to watch fight. Junior Tafa, always decent to fight, but that's about it.
About you, Steve?
Probably the junior. Heard of Cody Brundage, but more popular Junior Tafa as far as the most interesting out of all of them.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Junior Tafa a heavyweight at one point? If I'm not mistaken.
Was he, or doesn't he have a brother that also fights?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, was
Justin Tafa. Justin Tafa is his brother. I could have swore both of them fought at heavyweight.
Yeah, he was, and it looks like even in his picture, he's lost some weight for light heavyweight.
Yeah, Junior is younger than Justin. Justin's older.
He's fighting heavyweights.
That's what I thought. Because his last fight, he fought at light heavyweight. Before that, all his fights were at heavyweight in the UFC. Because he lost the Johnny Walker's brother, Volta Walker. I know he was on your radar for a while, Steve.
Yeah.
Parker Porter. He lost to Parker Porter at heavyweight. Record's not that good, but I always, I'll tune in for a Junior Tafa fight. So maybe, I mean, he lost his first fight back at light heavyweight, but maybe he'll finally get settled in this division and able to show something. But let's move on to the main card, fellas, in the lightweight division. We had Quillian Salkeld versus Jamie Mularkey. Thoughts on this one, Amar?
I mean, Jamie Malarkey is always fun to watch fight, so that's going to be my pick. Should be a decent fight. Two Australian guys.
So you have Mularkey. You think he's just going to overwhelm him, or?
Yeah. I think Malarkey's just got too many tools to use.
Okay. So Amar has Mularkey. Who you have, Steve?
I will have to choose. I think Quentin Sal Killed. I think his last fight he had a nasty heavy kick, and he looked pretty good in that. If I'm thinking about the right fight, and if so, is this the same fighter that I remember? I think he might get one off on Malarkey.
Sal Kill had that head kick. It was like wrecking.
It was a pretty good but bad for it was a bad knockout for the dude he got it off on, right?
Yeah, it was pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's the one I remember. I think I'm gonna have to go with Quillen. I think he can pull that off again against Malarkey.
So I don't know what are the odds on these fights, Amar?
Let me see if I can find some odds because the one I had did not.
Because ESPN used to post them, but they've been slacking lately. So CBS is usually a good place that has the odds on these fights. But this, I'm guessing these guys are probably close in odds. I don't know. It seems like it's gonna be a toss up. They don't have odds. They have odds for every other fight except this one. So I'm guessing it's a pick 'em. I guess I'll go with Malarkey as well. No rhyme or reason. I'm just going with Malarkey on this one. Next up, heavyweight division, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. Who you got in this one, Amir? The odds are Teixeira's a minus 298. Tuivasa's 240 plus 240.
I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm going to go with Tai Tuivasa just because they're in home country, Australia. He's going to try to do big things in front of his home crowd. He likes getting wild in front of them. He likes chugging a beer out of the shoe.
So you got Tai Tuivasa. And for that last fight, Steve, you had Sal Kill?
Yeah.
And who you got in this one?
Man, it's been a year and a half, 2 years since Tai Tuivasa fought. Seemed like he didn't even fight Rosenstrike his last fight. What? I'll go with I think his back's against the wall. I think he's maybe too many losses in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's going for the kill. So I'll have to go with Tai Tuivasa.
So you got Tuivasa on this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's one of those up and down fighters. I remember he went on that one streak where he was like maybe like a fighter so away from getting a title shot, and then he started losing again. Yes, yeah, he beat Derek Lewis. I remember that. Then he just went on a downward spiral. And wow, 5 losses in a row. Even though he fought some killers in there: Gane, Pavlovich, Volkov, Tybura, Rosenstruck. I think the downward spiral continues, I think I'm going to pick Teixeira on this one. And I think Tuivasa will get cut after this.
Damn.
I don't know, man. I feel like even if he loses, he's still a guy you could throw in there because he has a little name value. Like you said, everybody likes doing the shoeies, but can't do a shoey if you keep losing. So I don't know. He might get cut. We'll see. But let's move on to the next fight. Lightweight division, we have Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Rufy. Who you got on this one, Amir?
What's the odds?
Rufy's a plus 105. Fiziev is a minus 125, so it's pretty much a pick 'em.
Yeah, on this one, I'm gonna have to go with Rufy on this one. I think Rufy's got just a couple more tools in his repertoire. He's coming off of a loss. I think he's looking to get back in the win column. So yeah, give me Rufy.
All right. Who you got, Steve?
I'll go with my man Rafael, man. I think his striking is good enough. And so to speak, takedown defense is good enough to stay in the game and get it done on the feet. So Rafael.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go at Rafael as well. Like I said, it could go either way. It's pretty much a pick 'em, but I think Rafael's gonna keep that winning streak going. Pretty well-rounded fighter, you know. He's just a guy that just keeps on trucking, and you just see him mostly win his fights, and then there's a loss here and there. But I don't know. I just got a feeling that Fizie's gonna pull this off. I mean, he went through. That's crazy that he fought Gaethje in such a short time span. I know it was separated by 2 years, but still, because he lost to Gaethje, then he lost to Gamrot, then he lost to Gaethje again. So I don't know. I just feel like he's gonna pull this one off. So me and Steve will have Fiziev on this one, and Admire has Rufy. Moving on to the co-main event, and it's crazy that this is a co-main event, but like I said, I feel like we're gonna be getting these kind of watered down cards. But this Paramount Plus era, we have lightweight division. We have Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint Denis. Who you got in this one, Amar?
This one's a tough one, man. This should be a good fight. These guys should be slugging it out. My initial thought was to go with Dan Hooker, but I think Benoit Saint Denis continues his rise up, man. I think Saint Denis is going to take it. I think he finishes him late in the first round.
Oh wow! So he gets him out of there early.
Yep.
Who you got in this one, Steve?
This one's hard. And although Dan Hooker hasn't, he lost his last fight, but that was against Armand. And I know he's not the same as Dan Hooker who fought Poirier, but just given MMA, man, I think he may be able to give it to him if he was able to defend Poirier's onslaught for the most part. So I think he may have some benefits over Saint Denis. I think he might pull it off for that. So I'll go with Dan Hooker.
Oh wow! So you got the upset in this one.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get fueled by the hometown crowd? Is he from New Zealand or Australia? I always mix up some of these fighters.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
So he's not hometown. Close enough though. I just think Saint Denis. I got Saint Denis in this one. I just think, like Adam said, he's just going to overwhelm him. Probably get a finish in this one. What was that only hiccup that Saint Denis had? Was it against Gaethje or Poirier?
Poirier.
Yeah,
Poirier.
And after that, he didn't get back on track after that. I can't remember if he had a loss after that.
I'm pretty sure he's been clean after that.
Yeah, so yeah, I just think, sometimes you need to get a loss and go through some adversity.
He lost to
Moicano.
Yeah, Moicano.
I see that he lost to Manny Moicano and got stopped. Wow. So, but it's been a 3-fight winning streak after that, including your guy Rufy and he beat knocked out Darius. So I'm gonna ride that Saint Denis train on this one. But let's talk about the main event, fellas. Featherweight division. We have your undisputed featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes in a rematch. Isn't it an immediate rematch for Lopes, if I'm not mistaken?
Is it? Let me pull it up here and just double check. Is it immediate rematch?
No, he faced John Silva. He faced John Silva and got that win back. But this is immediate rematch for Volkanovski because he hasn't fought since he beat Lopes. This is the rematch no one really asked for. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Amar?
Yeah, rematch nobody asked for. I mean, Diego Lopes is a great fighter. I mean, he just gives it his all in there. He's got a lot of great tools, but I feel like the UFC is really, really pushing him. He's beat a lot of great people, but I don't know if he's deserving of this rematch this quickly. I don't know. I think this is an easy pick for me. Volk is gonna, win this probably pretty easily again.
Why do you think so?
I mean, Volk's just the guy, man. Like, I mean, he's lost to Islam and Taporia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. I mean, he's just one of the best to ever do it. And I mean, Diego Lopes is good, but he's got a lot of holes in his game as well.
Okay. Who you got, Steve?
I think I'll have Volkanovski again. I think too much being threatened. If I remember from the last fight, Volkanovski had it under control. As far as striking, if I can't even remember even grappling on the ground, I think he'll pull it off again. Like you said, a lot of people feel like it's underdeserved. There's people out there, Leon Murphy, if I'm not mistaken, that haven't lost, who we can see defend. But
we talk about LaRon Murphy.
Yeah, LaRon Murphy, and I can't remember if there's any other prospects out there who have a record enough to defend or fight for the title. But yeah, I mean, I guess Lopes is going to have to show, but I think Volkanovski is going to take it like the last time.
I'm gonna kind of cheat on this one. I'm gonna pick Volkanovski just so I can keep up with Amir in the picks. I don't want to get behind like I did last year and have to catch up. But I kind of think that Lopes might win this one. Learn from that first fight. This is a pretty close fight in odds too, Amir. Volkanovski's only a -162 to Lopes is 136. I didn't think that first fight would go like it did. I didn't think Volkanovski would win decisively like that. I thought Lopes would, find an opening and be able to capitalize on it, especially with Volkanovski getting up there in age. I think this might be the fight where Lopes can do that if he fights discipline and doesn't let Volkanovski overwhelm him, because it's not like we haven't seen Volkanovski lose. He lost the title to Taporia, but we know how much of a tornado and whirlwind that Taporia is, and he did it at a higher division. So I don't know. All the times undefeated, you don't think age will play a factor with Volkanovski, Amir?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the age is catching up to him yet. I mean, he's 37.
He got knocked out.
So
No, you don't think that's a little bit age related when he finally got knocked out?
no, he got knocked out by Taporia. I mean, everybody gets knocked out by Taporia.
Yeah, but I don't know if 31-year-old Volkanovski, I remember he could take some licks, man, when he was first coming up. I didn't even believe in him back then, but he was just beating everybody. Man, he finally ran into that superior wall. And then what about the both Makachev losses as well?
It's
I don't think he's not
Makachev.
nervous. And that's something we just excuse this. We just keep giving him these excuses.
I mean, he lost to the two guys that are like. I mean,
he did go up the way too.
I mean, Topuria is undefeated, and Makachev is what, lost one, and that one loss was like a fluke.
And he is your current welterweight champ, so I will give Volkanovski the benefit of that doubt. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Lopez, I won't be surprised if Lopez wins, but just on paper, I'm picking Volkanovski. But how this fight plays out, probably trend to how I'm gonna pick Volkanovski in the future, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. All three of us got Volkanovski in this one, but I wouldn't, like I said, I will not be surprised if Lopez wins. So we'll see how this fight plays out. You gonna be watching this live again, Admire?
Plan on it.
How about you, Steve?
Yeah, most definitely. I will be.
So I got a bunch of shit to watch this weekend. I don't know how I'm gonna watch it because I'm gonna be out of town in Houston. One of my best friends having a birthday out there. So this fight happens at night, so I don't know when I'm gonna get. I'll probably watch this the next morning. I got some boot to the face stuff to watch. Who else is fighting this weekend? Isn't Shakur Stevenson fighting Teofimo Lopez this weekend? So we definitely probably gotta do a quickie show on that. Find a way to fit that in. Teofimo and Shakur Stevenson. Is that fight happening in Vegas or in New York? I feel like it's happening at one of those locations. Kind of, and I guess now
New
that
York
they got
City.
Oh wow, so it's probably MSG.
Yep, the Garden.
That's gonna be so interesting how boxing shakes out because Zuffa Boxing had their first event. Caleb Smith fought on that. It was the day before UFC. It's on Paramount Plus. I'm surprised you didn't see that on your feed, am I? Zuffa Boxing's first event.
Oh,
It happened in the Apex. Not a lot of star power in that fight, so I don't know how it's going so far. This is their first official event, even though the a fight happened under Zuffa under that banner as well. The Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford, that happened under Zuffa's banner, but this is like their first numbered event that they had this past weekend. And if you look at the card, not a whole lot of star power. I feel like they're having another card this weekend with not a whole lot of star power. So I don't know if you're kicking off this new promotion. This is the way to start it, Admire. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but yeah. And not even like as much titles that you have in boxing, you'd think they'd be able to get some title fights under their banner just because you have four world champions in each division, and they haven't gotten any of them on these numbered cards that they finally have. So we shall see how that moves going forward. But yeah, we will be back next week to recap UFC 325. But make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on IG. Follow us on also TikTok. That's where the kids go. But that'll do it for us here on Haymaker Combat Sports. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on one platter, leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest, sitting on the top. And I'm laughing at the fools who think they coming for the spot. You ain't got a shot, it's already mine.